Hi everybody, welcome to Do You Believe on Paranormal Zone TV. I want to thank you all so much for being here tonight. And please, if you're new to the show tonight, if you would please subscribe, I'd appreciate it. And don't forget to give the show a like, and you're going to love the show tonight. I'm so excited. I've always wanted to do the show on Summerwind Mansion. And I found Kevin and Jennifer Malik, who I invited to do the show with me, and they were happy to accommodate my request. And so my guest tonight is Kevin and Jennifer Malik. And everybody, please, let's welcome them to the show. Hey guys, thanks so much for joining us tonight.
Thanks for having us on.
Yeah, hello, and thank you for having us on.
Oh, absolutely. Now, would you please tell the viewers a little bit about yourself? And Jennifer, we'll start with you.
Okay. My name is Jennifer Malik. I am 38 years old. I am a psychic medium and the resident demonologist for Northern Wisconsin Paranormal Society Limited. I am a writer for Supernatural Magazine, and I am one of the hosts.
Thanks for having us on.
Yeah, hello, and thank you for Radio Network. Paraversal Universe Radio on the Inception Network.
And Kevin, would you please tell the viewers a little bit about yourself?
Sure. My name is Kevin Malik. I am a paranormal historian and founder of the Northern Wisconsin Paranormal Society. I'm also a ufologist with the UFO Wisconsin Research Team. Like Jennifer, I'm a writer for Supernatural Magazine and host a Paraversal Universe on the Inception Radio Network every Friday night.
Mm-hmm. And you have a website as well?
Yes. Well, you go to IRN to find the show. Supernatural Magazine to find the articles, and the website for our society is actually best found on Facebook. The link is there. It's a long bunch of letters and names, and every time I say it, no one gets it right. So just go to Facebook. You'll find our website link there.
All right. So tonight, the topic is the Summerwind Mansion in Wisconsin. How did you guys get involved with the Summerwind?
Well, I went to high school up here, and Summerwind has been part of, I've been aware of Summerwind as long as I can remember. We used to go there in high school. It's actually a rite of passage. It's when I was in high school, it was still standing before it burned down. Kids would go out there from anywhere in the Northwoods. It was the thing to do if you were in high school. We go out there, get away from the folks, go and party. And, so I was one of them kids, and Harold and Tracy Babbs. And they approached with the idea, and Harold and Tracy Babbs said, well, we can only do this if we find another investor. If we find another investor, then, because they bought the property, they have interest in Summerwind, and, they only owned it for a couple of years before the place burned down. So that's how we got involved. We got involved because our society is close. It's closer to the ruins than certainly Craig's society. It's kind of in our primary coverage area, if you will. So getting the support and the blessing from the local paranormal team, I think that's what that was about. And anyway, so they approached us about it, and we thought, ever since it burned down, kids still go out there. I mean, just because it's burned down, that hasn't stopped anything. Kids still go out there. It's still a rite of passage going on 3 or 4 generations now of people going out there. And they trespass. It's private property. There are neighbors on both sides. Eventually, the lot was subdivided. Originally, it was one big lot. Over the years, it was divided. So you have neighbors on both sides. And what you have is this situation where kids go out there to get creeped out in the party and stuff, and they end up on the neighbor's property. They get lost out there. They get hurt out there. Police end up out there. Ambulances ended up out there. So the situation now is we felt that when they approached us, it was with the idea of doing a bed and breakfast, bringing Summerwind back to its original glory with the blueprints. And then giving other people and other teams a chance to come in and check the place out. And when we were approached with that, I was like, well, that sounds good, but is it still haunted? I mean, I know it was haunted when I was in high school, but it had been a few years. And so Craig invited us to come out to the Summerwood property after a library seminar he gave. And so he did the seminar, and we showed up, and support and stuff, and that went really well. Then a whole bunch of people came back to the property, so they can get permission to go on and see it and whatnot. So after this, I guess, mini event was said and done, the patrons left, and it was just the two teams. And I had proceeded at that point to walk around the property, take photos, whatnot. We came back.
Hey Kevin, move in toward your wife because we're not seeing all of you. Yeah.
Sorry. So anyways, so I took some pictures, and when I got it back, there were orbs. Of course, 95% of orbs are dust and moisture. These had tails, trail, creating their own light. And I thought, well, maybe there is something to this. I don't believe all orbs are ghosts or spirit energy, but I do believe a very small percentage of them are. And so I thought, well, if it's, and then of course, Craig had said that he had garnered evidence out there. Because they had had like 2-3 years head start us as far as going out there and investigating and whatnot. So we thought, well, that's a good idea. Either way, it's a good idea to build it, and to keep it from being ruins, and that way kids will stop showing up in the middle of the night and ending up on the wrong properties and the whole mess. So we got involved with that. Right after we got involved, Johnny joined the society. And since then, we've been part of the Summerwind Restoration Society.
Okay, well, you know what? Before we talk about that restoration, and we'll tell the viewers that we are going to do a show about that, let's talk about the history of Summerwind and how this all started, okay?
Sure. Okay. Summerwind is located in Land O'Lakes, Wisconsin, on West Bay Lake. Originally, it was a fishing village. It was a fishing resort. It was built by John Frank in 1914. And for the first couple of years, it accommodated fishermen where they could come out and fish the lake and whatnot. And then after a couple of years, Robert Patterson Lamont, who was the Secretary of Commerce under Herbert Hoover, bought the location. Him and his wives and servants lived there until shortly before he died. In that era, it's where we first hear about the hauntings. The servants had reported that the place was haunted, and at first they didn't believe it. And then they had an experience one night where they were sitting down to dinner, I believe, desserts.
Yeah, dessert.
And anyways, as they were eating desserts, an apparition had come through the basement door, and Mr. Lamont took a gun out, and he took a couple shots at it. And of course, it didn't do anything to the apparition, and they left the house after that and never returned. And so after he passed, the house was sold to a lady named Miss Kiefer, who they call, if you see the episode Haunting, they call her Miss
Murray.
Miss Murray, but her name is Miss Kiefer. And so she bought the place, and she owned it for 50 to 20 years, and she never lived inside the place. She wouldn't go inside the place.
Well, can we just back up a little bit? When Lamont owned the property, and the servants or the maids in the property told him that the house was haunted, and I guess he didn't believe him, and that's when he saw the apparition. Now I have a picture that he had seen that apparition in one of the rooms, and he believed that it was a real person, so he had his gun and he shot at it. And I have a picture of the bullet holes that, I guess when the mansion was still standing, they took a picture of the bullet holes that were still in that room, which I thought was really, that was pretty interesting. The story is fascinating about the hauntings. Fascinating.
Right. So, and Miss Kiefer wouldn't go inside the house, and she had learned about the activity from the Lamonts. She had known them, or, you know, she knew them prior to finding the place. She wouldn't go inside the house, and she would show it to other people, but she would always stay outside.
So when Lamont owned it, and after he had seen that apparition, he eventually just vacated the property. He just upped and left. How long was it vacant? How long was it vacant? Do you know?
I think this was a year or two.
It was about, I want to say a year or two, because the night that he saw the apparition and shot at it is when him and his wife fled.
Never to come back. And then just a couple years later, he died. I think he died in late 40s, I believe.
Okay, he died. And then, and he sold the property. It was vacant for several years. And then, who was the next owner after Lamont?
Well, Miss Kiefer.
Okay.
And she owned the place. In fact, she owned the place technically all the way until Harold and Babs bought it. What happened was this. Enter the Hinshaws, Ginger and Arnold. Arnold's real name was Jim Hill. They used the name Arnold for discretion reasons at the time. We were told we can say his name. So they had moved in and were buying the house from Miss Keeper, from my understanding. And then you have that whole story, and the haunting on the show, A Haunting. That's the story, or that's the family, and primarily that part of history of it is what's portrayed. And that would be there were 9 kids? 9. In the haunting it says 4 kids, but there was really 9 from what we hear. It was Ginger and Jim. And at first things were okay. They started to notice things, shadows and furniture moving, stuff like that. And of course, there's a bunch of different stories that come out of that time period. I think at one point they had found something in the wall. Do you want to know that?
Yeah. When the Hinshaws had moved in, they were clearing and fixing up the house. They were doing repairs, and they found what looked like a crawl space in a closet in one of the rooms. And since they couldn't fit in it, they had the kids go into the crawl space. And the kids came out saying that they had found human remains in the crawl space. It's hearsay in a sense, because back then there was no actual record of it.
They didn't report. They didn't do anything to document that.
Yeah.
It was told they went out and they buried it, and it was that on the property, from my understanding. So anyway, so you have that story, and then they said shortly after that event is when we hear about the whole Arnold or Jim and the psychosis, or where he started to go into this state of aggression, and he would get lost in himself. He would play the hammer organ, even all throughout the night. He wouldn't stop. And as time went on, April Hinshaw said that the music progressively got more and more eerie as time went on, more and more disturbed. Anyways, he in his demise, he stopped working. Bills stopped getting paid. So the water and the heat was shut off. And this is before the laws are in place we have laws up here in northern Wisconsin that they can't shut the power off on people in the middle of winter, obviously, because it's dangerous and life-threatening. But back then, there's no such thing, and so they had to get their water from the lake in the summer. I guess before the water froze, and then in the winter they had to get water from snow, and they were burning furniture and whatnot, and it had gotten to the point where and the kids were having experiences, everybody was having experiences at this point, everyone was freaked out, nobody really wanted to be there, and that's when Ginger called up her father and said, I've had enough, can you please pick this up, this isn't working out. Now, in a haunting, they say that Arnold and Ginger were married, but actually, as of tonight, we heard that that's not true, that they were just together. So, but be that as it may, what happened was, so she was picked up by the father, and had never heard from Arnold / Jim again. And the story is that he ended up becoming committed into a mental hospital. In Canada.
And Ginger attempted suicide, I read.
Yeah.
So, and this is, this story has got a lot of twists in it. So anyways, so what happens is, the property now goes back to Miss Kiefer, who, for I think it was 4 or 5 years, was showing the property, got the people who are interested. Everybody up there had heard about this place by this point. It was notoriously haunted. I mean, you ask anybody in Wisconsin if they've heard of Summerwind, and everybody's heard of it. I mean, and especially up in Land O'Lakes. So, this place was so people would come in and they'd want to see it, and she would buy, but she wouldn't go in. And what happened was, Ginger Hinshaw's father decided he wanted to buy property. He didn't quite believe his daughter's stories that it was haunted. He eventually came to believe them, but at this point in time, he didn't. He figured it was just a bad experience, and there's so much fear and fear involved that that's what he chalked it up to. He bought the place or purchased. I don't know if these are land grants or how they work this, but so it went back to him, and him and his son Raymond von Bober decided they wanted to fix the place up, and they had interest in turning it into either a restaurant or a bed and breakfast at this point.
Excuse me for 1 second. You know what? There aren't any pictures of what it used to look like. There are no interior. I have pictures I've been showing the viewers of what it looked like, I guess at one time when it was abandoned, how it was all torn apart and ruined inside. But I could not find any pictures of in its heyday. Do you have any of those pictures?
Yeah, I would say at this moment, or the Summerwind, most of the pictures are collected. They're on the Summerwind Restoration Society Facebook page. If you go there and go to photos, there are hundreds of photos.
But I mean, what it used to look like in its heyday.
Just I've seen a black and white kind of photo. Photos are harder. They're rare. Anytime anyone finds new photos of Summerwind, it's kind of a big deal amongst the Summerwind fans. Every so often, someone will just come out of the woodwork and will send photos to the Restoration Society.
Yeah.
So Josh Chairs and Craig have many more classic photos than we have, and that's why I had Josh send photos to you. For that reason.
Well, he didn't send me anything new. I've been showing what is all over the web as far as the Summerwood Mansion. Oh, okay, go ahead.
Okay. Anyways, so they were going to fix the place up, and Raymond Von Bover started having experiences in the house, and he had asked contractors to come out. No contractors at first would come out because of the reputation. Finally, he found some people to come out, and after a short while, they quit because their tools would go missing, and there was even claims that the blueprint or the dimensions in the rooms would change. Okay? Again, some of this, we talk about the Summerwind history and stuff, but there is folklore in there. Some of this isn't verifiable, but that's I believe that's written in The Carver Effect, which is a book that Von Bover wrote after these experiences. Anyways, so they were having problems building the place, getting it back to its glory. And then there was a day where he had an experience that really freaked him out, where he saw at first it was really weird when you listen to the story, because it sounds like almost sounds like a residual replay of when the gunshot was fired into the basement, because he heard 2 gunshots and there were 2 bullet holes, and he could smell the gunpowder, and that freaked him out at first. Then he was looking at the bullet holes, and he turned around, and that's when he saw an apparition, and it rushed him. And then he went out of the house, and at that point, after they'd stopped their plans, the property went back to Miss Kiefer again, who then sold it to Harold and Tracy Babbs in the early 80s. Yeah. And so I would imagine, and then from the time the Hinshaws left until it burned down, that's where a lot of the stories come up from the abandoned era, when it was still, the house was still there, and we hear stories all the time. I mean, it's just one of these locations that so many people have been to, and people have had experiences out there. And there are different kinds of folklore as well. I suppose I should go on. Why don't I continue with the timeline so we can get up to it?
Oh yeah, that would be awesome.
I don't mean to get sidetracked.
And as far as Babs and Harold Tracy go, it was their anniversary, and Babs had asked Harold to get her something different, something unique for their anniversary. And so on the day of their anniversary, he comes home and he hands her a piece of paper, and she's like, "What's that?" And he goes, "It's the signed deed to Summerwind." So he actually got her the deed. He brought Summerwind as an anniversary present.
Now, so do you know how it got its name, Summerwind?
It used to be called Lilac Hills. That was the first name they gave it, as far as I know, after the fishing village. I don't know who's named Summerwind. Do you remember?
Von Bover named it Summerwind. Yes.
Okay, so yeah, I guess was that junior or senior? Von Bover Senior is Ginger's dad, and Raymond Von Bover Jr. is the brother.
No, it would be the son that named it.
Okay. Yeah, so anyways, so they had the house for a couple of years, and before they even really were able to do anything with it, I guess, the place burnt down one night in 1988, and there are three theories to that. The most popular one, the official, is that it was struck by lightning several times, or at least twice, and it burned down. The second theory is that the township, or people in the town, got so tired of this place, attracting so much attention, that they went out there and burnt it down. The third theory is that high school kids who were out there partying and one night, getting too drunk or whatever, they burnt it down. Now, what's interesting about that, I gotta tell you, I was in high school when it burned down. And I heard about the fire from the kids in school before any of the adults or the parents or it was on the news or anything. So, I'm not saying it was kids, but there's 3 different theories out there, and take your pick. But it burnt down to the ground. And there's 2, right, all that's remaining is the 2 chimneys, the depression, where the basement and everything from the levels fell through. And then part of the basement, you can still actually even walk into, where you got cement over your head and the walls inside. That's where the arches are. On some of the photos, you'll see the arches. You actually walk in there. It's where you're technically inside Summerwind, but it's not much.
No. As far as the timeline goes with the Hinshaws before they left, after Raymond Von Wilbur Jr. had that experience that Kevin was speaking about, his sister April decided she would do a hypnotherapy session on him because he wouldn't talk about it. And her and father could tell that something had to have happened that was pretty bad to affect him that way. And so they did the session, and it was during that session that he actually saw a piece of a compartment in the basement of Summerwind, and there was a box in there, and inside this wooden box was the land grant.
Yes, if you watch the story on A Haunting, you'll see a part where Ginger, this is after she moved out of she said after she moved out of Summerwind, that she, at this point, had experienced so much paranormal activity that she started doing research on it. She wanted answers to what was going on. Somewhere along the way, she came across hypnotherapy stuff, books, whatnot, and she one night tried, after they were talking about this Summerwind issue, she had tried hypnosis on both her brother and her father. Brother shared his experience, and then the father was one who, under hypnosis, mentioned that there's a brick, and when you move the brick, there's a space, and in the space you're going to find this deed that was given to Jonathan Carver. And Jonathan Carver was a famous explorer in the 1800s, and it said that he had negotiated a peace between 2 Native American tribes, and they gave him some land for that accomplishment. And that's the rumor, is that the deed was supposed to be that. And of course, so they went all the way back to Summerwind to look for this deed. They went into the basement, they found the block, they moved the block out, sure as crap, there's a hole, but there's no deed. So now you got this mystery that's been persistent ever since. People have been going out to someone looking for the deed. Some people say, well, there's no evidence that Jonathan Carver made it up that far up north into the Northwoods. But the story goes that the land was given to him for helping 2 tribes. He wouldn't have necessarily had to been up there to receive that. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. It's weird. I personally, I don't think anyone's ever going to find a deed. If they did, I don't even know if it would be valid at this point.
Well, then how did the new owner? Who are the new owners? Who owns the house now?
It's still it's
Harold and Tracy Babbs.
Yeah, Harold and Tracy Babbs. They still own the property.
Okay, but if they don't have, how did they get a deed to the house?
They didn't. See, what happened was he, under hypnosis, he had this quote-unquote vision. It was like a dream or whatever. That he believed Jonathan Carver was telling him where the deed was.
Right, but how can you buy a home without a deed?
I don't know. Like I said, it's folklore.
Okay, but so the new owners owned Summerwind. So I'm just curious as to how they purchased it. Was it just the land that's been?
No, she's talking about the Hinshaws. She's not talking about Harold and Tracy Babbs. She's talking about
the people that own the place now, the property now.
Yes. They were not the ones who have anything to do with the deed. They have nothing to do with the hypnotic session.
No.
That was the Hinshaws during their whole thing. As part of a haunted episode. If you watch that show for an hour, they'll talk about that hypnosis session.
Okay.
That's all part of the Hinshaw story. I'm sorry if we got ahead of this. I apologize.
Yeah.
But I still don't understand if there is no deed.
It's a land grant deed. We're talking like before they split up property for people. This would go back. This would be ancient. This would be in the 1800s. This would be before the Summerwind story started.
So when the current owners bought this house, it was still abandoned. Well, it had burned down, right? They bought it while it was burned down, or no?
No, they bought it. It was abandoned. At this point, the Hinshaws the Hinshaw family had 2 runs of it. The first time with Ginger and her boyfriend, and then the second time with the father and son.
Okay.
And then after both times, the property went back to Miss Kiefer because there was no success with any of the plans. It was everything fell through. They couldn't pay the mortgage or whatever the deal was. And if they couldn't pay that, the property goes back. So that's how. And then enter in the early 80s, Harold and Tracy Babbs. And so they only had we'll call it the mansion, the abandoned mansion for 2 years, I believe. It was a short period of time before it burned down. So they, and it's been like that ever since. Never stopped people from going out there. People still go out there. So if that was their plan, that didn't work so well. I mean, if that was, I'm not saying it was. I'm just saying.
Okay. Is there any more to the story?
Well, okay. So anyhow, the house burns down. Years go by, and then we come up to where Joshua Chairs finds the blueprints for Summerwind online.
No way.
He found them online.
Oh my! How was that possible?
I don't know. We'll have to have him on with us maybe the next time or something.
Wow.
I don't know. Or have him and Craig on, or who knows. But so he came across the blueprints. So he bought them. And then he thought someone was the coolest thing. And then he contacted Craig because he was aware that Craig Nearing, who is the founder of the Fox Valley Ghost Hunters in Appleton, Wisconsin, which is further south than us, but still in Wisconsin, contacted him and said, I have the blueprints for Summerwind, and I know you're fascinated with it, and I know you know the owners, and they just started talking. And when it was brought to me at first, I wasn't sure if there was activity at the place, and I wasn't sure if it was even possible or if it's feasible, but here we are 3 years later, and every year there's progress. It's slowly plugging along, so it comes up to today where we're at the Summerwind Restoration Society. The society was put together under the pretense that they're looking for one more investor to go in on this, and they use the original blueprints, build the mansion.
They
would do the bed and breakfast, and that way the Summerwind legacy would continue.
Yeah, Josh just sent me a copy of the blueprints. It's really dark. It's hard to make out, but I just am amazed that they got blueprints of the mansion online. That is just crazy.
Right.
Thanks, Josh, for sending that to me.
Oh, and then also on that same piece of property is the foundation of the servants' quarters too.
Yes, there are other things about the property we can talk about because we've been out there for the last couple of years. 2 different reasons. One is because once the Summerwood Restoration Society was started, we decided, well, what can we do? How can we advertise the idea to the people so people are aware that this investor, that they're searching for a partner, and and we thought, well, why don't we do campouts out there? That way we can give people a chance to come on the property, because you can't just. Harold and Tracy Babbs are private individuals. They're not easy to get a hold of, and it's not just an easy thing to book Summerwood. At least not under that pretense. I mean, as far as like if you wanted to go out there or whatever. So we thought, well, this would give everybody an excellent chance for the first time to go on the grounds with permission, so they're not, thinking the sheriff's going to show up, because police patrol that area out there because it's so famous and stuff. And then people can experience the place, the location, and then this way we can host the camp out and get it out there, and then people can see this and become aware of it. And then the money would go into a fund, which you still have. I think there's like $8,000 in there at the moment. Mm-hmm. And that was to go to either the building itself or the promotion to find the investor. And so campouts, let's see, the first year they did 2. I think the first year we were part of one of them. Second year there were 4. We were part of 2 of those. And then this year they have 3 planned. And for this year, we were talking it'd be nice to get some other teams in there, because what we would do is Fox Valley and us would meet up there for these campouts, and both teams would in essence, run the event. And there's 2 different areas that we're focused on. One was the house, and the other is something, and we haven't brought this up yet. There is nothing to base, there's no factual evidence for this, but there is a legend that there's an Indian burial mound out there, parallel to the driveway going in. And this is, like I say, this is folklore. There's nothing to back this up, but because it is folklore, and we don't know where the kernel of this came from, or if someone just made that up, or what the deal is, if that's to kind of explain the haunting or what. But so what we would do is we would split up the 2 teams. One team would work with half the collective that showed up for the event at Summerwind Mansion. Then you had the bonfire in the middle, and then on the other side you had the burial mound that runs parallel, and then the other team would set up out there.
Wow.
And then we would have the collective, like I said, split into 2. And they would spend an hour with each team, and after that hour, the collective would shift. And after the second hour, the teams would shift. And then between each time, there was like an intermission where you can go to the campfire and stuff. And I thought, this is a great idea. Mm-hmm. That way people can investigate with 2 respected teams, get to hang out there for the night, and then they tell all their friends, and we can post about it and try to get some awareness going on this. So that's the plan. And every year there's more and more awareness, doing more and more stuff. And now this year, we've been talking, there's more people showing interest in the place. I know there's a couple possible investors. You don't handle the money end of it. You'd have to talk to Craig at the Fox Valley Ghost Hunters on that. We're just, we're on the promotional end, I guess, and just making sure that everything is, true to form and kosher, whatnot,
Are you a part of this restoration committee?
Well, the society consists of Josh Sheriff, Greg Nearing at the Fox Valley Ghost Hunters, then us, Jennifer, Kevin at Northern Wisconsin Paranormal Society.
So
Harold, of course, Harold and Babs own the place. It's their thing, we're just the historians, and we're just the closest paranormal team to the site. And the other thing we were out there for is our own investigation, because we wanted to investigate the place without people, without the camp out, without all of that. So we got a chance to go out there and do that as well.
In your opinion, how haunted is the area and what's left of Summerwind?
there's definitely something going on. As far as how haunted,
Kevin, move over.
she's talking to you. It's. I don't think it's demonically haunted. Okay. If it were, we wouldn't be supporting campouts. You know. But you have. We've gotten shadow play out there. REM pods go off. EVPs are hard to conduct out there, just because it's outside. You know, it's a little more contaminated, especially at the campout events. You can't do it there. At the campout events, there's just too much going on. Rock throwing is a phenomenon out there that's happened to several different people.
And has there been any signs of Bigfoot in that area?
Well, Bigfoot is in the Northwoods here. There's no doubt about that. We were just out yesterday with the cryptozoologist for the Northern Wisconsin Paranormal Society, Don Young, who's been on your show before.
Oh, I know. I know. I love Don Young.
He's awesome.
Yeah, I do. His. Oh my God. Well, has anybody investigated and tried to contact? Maybe isn't that's a typical MO for a Bigfoot to throw rocks?
Yeah, it is.
Sure it is. Some of the rocks seem to come out of the foundation. Of course, we don't even know what Bigfoot is. You know, you have cryptozoology and you have paracryptozoology. The belief that there are some of these cryptids may have supernatural powers or abilities that humans don't possess, or just abilities that humans don't possess. Cloaking, invisibility, who knows? You know, but be that as it may, you're talking about it's on the border of the Upper Peninsula of Michigan and Wisconsin. There are no major cities anywhere close forever, hundreds of miles. And Land O'Lakes itself, it's just a little town, not even 1,000 people, maybe 1,000 people, and even Summerwind is miles from that town. You know, it's out in the boonies. It's literally out in sticks. So Bigfoot activity. You know, it's funny because we did have an experience out there, and I can't say that this was Bigfoot, but it was interesting because we had the SLS camera set up on the stretch that is called the burial, and it was before the group of people had showed up where we would start, you know, throwing them our equipment and trying different stuff and everything, and so we had the camera set up outside, and there's some trees in the camera, and at this point it was dark, and it was me, Jennifer, and our tech, one of our tech members, Amy, and she was running the SLS camera. It was on the laptop. It wasn't the kind that you walk around with. We had it stationary. And she goes, "There's something on the tree." We're like, "Huh?" And we walk over and we look, and on the tree there's this like thing mapped out. It looks like two arms, and there's this thing mapped out on the tree, you know, halfway up the tree or whatever. Then we're like, "What the hell?" So we grab our flashlights, and me and Jennifer are walking around this tree, looking, and do you see anything? No. Do you see anything? No. Is it still there? Yeah, it's still there. Like, we can't see it. It's gone. That was that.
Wow.
And it's like, it just makes you wonder what, you know, I tell you, with the SLS cameras, people say that you can get false positives, but we've tried to produce false positives. And it's not easy to make a false positive. You can't do it, you know. We've had, personally, right now we have 2 SLS cameras. We continue to use them, experiment with them. We're still doing, you know, research with them. They're newer. I mean, they haven't been around forever, so there's not a lot of documentation on longer, you know, investigation studies or whatever. But for that night and for that time, and that got me thinking, you know, if there's stuff out here in the woods we can't see with our own eyes, even the possibility, who's to say what's out there? But yeah, so that was a weird experience.
Wow. Now you do have evidence, right? Can you tell the viewers why we didn't show any evidence tonight?
Yes, I can. The 2 things that I would really like to show everybody, both were recorded on a high camera. My favorite. I've had it for 8 years. I love this thing. Got more evidence on it than anything else. And this is what was filmed on. And so everything we got are on high 18s. Well, we got the call for this show around the same time the idea for the documentary came up. And this is just like a month ago or whatever. This isn't too long ago. And they're saying, you got evidence. Like, yeah, we got some really good evidence, And, well, can we get that on digital? Well, yeah, we can get that on digital. And my camera broke, and we don't have it on digital yet. So we have in the process a new camera that we're going to get within this month. We're going to take not only the evidence from Summerwind, but from some other investigations. We're going to have it all digitalized, so that way we can share this with anybody at any time and they can go see it. Now, there is one clip on our Facebook, Northern Wisconsin Paranormal Society Limited. I think there's 4 videos on there. And one of them is the shadow person experience I can tell you the audience about in a sec here.
Mm-hmm.
But anyways, so if you go there, what it was is when we were doing the evidence review and we watched this, and this is before we had the ability to transfer stuff from these tapes to digital. We were watching this, and it's like, oh my lord! I mean, I gotta get this on something now. So I took my phone and I recorded it with my phone. So when you watch it, it's kind of like you see the phone, it's shaking a little bit and stuff, And you can see like on the bottom part, you can see like a shadow come across and it walks and then it disappears. And in the original version, after I asked if anyone was smoking, then you can actually see it come back. And on that part, we don't have it. You just have it where you see it walk. But when the digital version comes out, I'll make sure everybody gets a chance to see it. This is what happened. We went out there. There was 5 of us. We set up a nerve center outside, or just on the far end of the building, the opposite side of the building from the basement. And so, of 5 of us, 4 of us went to the basement. The last one of us was the tech manager, Rick, who was sitting at the nerve center. We had set up different cameras in different positions, as you do in investigations. And so I had my little high-end camera, my night vision trusty camera, and so it was Jennifer and Susie and Rick, not Rick, Randy. And so us 4 went to the basement, which is just a little enclosed area. And they're doing an EVP session. And I'm documenting the EVP session. I'm filming it with the camera. We're all standing still, playing the quiet game. Everyone be quiet unless you're asking a question. Otherwise, don't make a noise. And as they're doing the thing, and I decided to, I don't even know why I did this, but I decided to pan to the right. And I panned over to the right. And as I panned to the right, that's where the camera focuses on the arches that you can see. So I'm inside the arch, filming outside the arch, onto the ground. And as I pan over, and I'm looking at my monitor, I see like black smoke on the bottom of the monitor, like it looked like a black whatever. You see black movement and stuff. And I go, is anybody effing smoking cigarettes? Like we're not supposed to be smoking, and nobody's supposed to be smoking when we're doing this, because obviously contamination. No, nobody's smoking. I'm like, well, I caught something really cool on camera. Well, we didn't realize what it was until we got home, and we hooked it up to the big screen here, and we watched it. And when we put it on the big screen, you can see that this thing that I thought was black smoke that I couldn't explain was, you see that it was somebody walking. They had come walking down the hill, like down like this, walked past to some trees, where they walked behind the trees, and I couldn't see it no more. And I asked if anyone was smoking. They said no. And I said, well, I think I got something really cool. And then it comes back, and it goes back up the way. And I didn't even see it go back up until we watched it on the phone. So, and so with that, it's like, well, we were all 5 of us were accounted for. We watched all the other cameras, and nobody else had stuck on the property. There was nobody walking around. There was absolutely no reason whatsoever for any shadow to be moving around. Everybody was stationary. Even our guy at the nerve center, all the way back, was sitting down. And we had a camera on him, too. So that was that's one of the two experiences that we got that are you know, worthy of anything. You know, of
that
actually
sounds
saying,
awesome.
you know, we can't explain what this was and why it was there. So that will be digitalized, and I can't wait. I really can't wait, actually.
Well, I'm hoping that, let's see, to the viewers and who's watching, we are going to do a show on the restoration of Summerwind, and have a few people come back on the show. And I'm sure with this restoration going on and happening on that location, that you guys are experiencing paranormal activity as well. I don't know if it's heightened because of what's happening over there. I don't know, and I don't know what point you are in the restoration. So it would be awesome to do a show on the restoration and have you come back, and any evidence that anybody can present to the viewers. I mean, the viewers would love that.
Well, it will be a good show for them to tune into because, like I said, we got two pieces. The other piece is a few obvious hits during dowsing session with two different teams. And then I know Fox Valley's got some evidence as well. And then there's the stuff that other people collect as they go out there. They trespass out there, but they take pictures and you know.
Oh yeah, pictures and EVPs are always good.
Yeah.
We love EVPs.
So the other experience, you want to tell it?
Yeah. So our other experience we had was, it was one of the campouts we went to. It was a different campout, and we were walking around the property, and the sun was getting ready to go down. So we decided we were going to go to the basement and do like an EVP session, maybe a ghost box session. And there was a team of women who investigate the paranormal. They're called Spirit Hunters Investigates Paranormal.
No, Spirit Hunter Investigation Team.
No, investigation team, sorry.
Out of, I think, Beloit, Wisconsin.
And so we were in the basement, and one of the three girls was holding an Ovilus. And it's the Ovilus that you need the headphones for. It's not like the newer versions where you don't need headphones. And one of her other girls were using a set of dowsing rods. And we were kind of just sit there talking for a few minutes, and the woman with the Ovilus asked me if I would like to try out the Ovilus. And she explained to me how it worked, what the functions were. And she gave me the headset, she gave me the headphones that were plugged into the Ovilus. And the sun's going down at this point in time, and I'm losing light. So I had asked Kevin to turn on the headlamp. And we have three different lights. When you turn it on, it starts off white, then it goes to blue, and then it goes to green.
Just going to show it. Here's white, here's blue, and here's the green.
Mm-hmm.
That's my headlight I use.
Uh-huh.
And as soon as he said that, and before I can get the headphones on my head, a voice comes through the Ovilus and says, blue. And then a few seconds later, it says light. A few seconds later after that, it says green. Then it said Jenny. And then it said angel. And at that point, it went completely dead. Now, before we had actually got to the basement, they had gotten some activity, but for 20 minutes, they didn't get anything. And then I came down and we had that Ovilus session with dowsing rods.
Mm-hmm.
Right, we noticed that this was before, like I said, this was just at dusk. And so they came up from southern Wisconsin, and they were down there for a little bit. And we thought, well, you know, before we get started, why don't we just go down and you know, like you said, go down and you know, say hi and investigate for a little bit, whatever. So I got my camera and I walked down there, and just like that, you know, they're doing their dowsing rods, and I'm you know, watching it and looking at their hands and, you know, seeing if they're moving it, and it all looked good. Actually, it looked good. And then at that point, Jennifer and the other girl started talking about the Ovilus. And then, so Jennifer, at this point, so she hands Jennifer the thing, and and she can't see it. She goes, "Can you turn on the light?" And that was the first time that night I had turned this on. And I just think that, you know, blue and green, and when it said green, here we are in bead light, because my thing is, I'll go past the white because it blinds people in the face, right? I go past the blue because it's too dark. It's not, and then I go to the green.
See if we're back up. Okay, we're back up.
Okay. Just let me know and I'll continue with what I
All right,
was.
hold on for a second.
Sure.
Okay, we're back up, guys. Yeah, are we back up? Yeah, we're back up. It's up. Go ahead.
Okay. So, anyways, right. So, as far as the obulus, I've never been I'm a skeptical believer, and I tend to be harder on the ITC stuff generally than a lot of people. I'll just say that. The obulus, I had no reason to think that it would be credible whatsoever, and for it to say blue and green when I had turned on a light that went blue and green, and for it to say Jennifer or Jenny and Angel, well, she's my angel, so I'll give it that. But they were relevant words. I mean, just the fact that, like, for it to say green right when I have a green light on, right when I turn a green light on, what are the odds of that, honestly? Mm-hmm. So, I thought maybe there's something to that. I don't know, but that was like 1 in a million. I mean, it was just like on cue. It was just like, wow, you know. And I also thought, you know, that makes a good argument too. People say that ITC devices work better if you hold them. Not the EVP where your thumb can, the EVP sessions necessarily, where, you know, digital recorders, but like the ghost box and that kind of stuff. The obulus, that if someone's holding it, it works better, especially someone with abilities. I don't know. But that was impressive. And we happen to have that in camera as well. So that will be available too by the time we do this next show, or in September when we have the restoration part.
Okay. Would you tell the viewers again? Let's see. You are on Facebook.
Yes.
Okay. And what is it?
Northern Wisconsin Paranormal Society Ltd. Limited.
Awesome. All right, so I want to thank you so much for coming on the show. We will do another show on the restoration, which I am excited about, and hope more guests will come on the show for this program, and then more evidence be presented. The viewers would love that. Okay.
Yes,
okay.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much for having us on.
Yes,
you're welcome. Thank you so much. And Josh, how do you say Josh's last name? Cheris. Josh Cheris, thanks for sending me some of those pictures. He was sending me pictures as I was doing the broadcast, and I posted some of them. And he sent me the link. Unfortunately, I can't add your video during a live broadcast, but we can show that next time, okay?
Okay.
Yes,
all right, thank you so much for coming on the show. I really appreciate it. It was a great time. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Noreen.
Good night.
Good night.
Oh, everybody, thanks so much for joining us tonight, and I hope you enjoyed the show. I'm really excited about doing a show on the restoration. I really think that's important. I imagine, I don't know if they have a GoFundMe set up or whatever, but I imagine also that they're getting people to help with this restoration. It'll be awesome to see what they do with it. So everybody, oh, it's so hot. It's like a sauna in here. I want to thank you so much. Okay, next week, I don't have a show for 2 weeks. The next show will be July 6th with Jason, I can't really pronounce, Jason Offit. He wrote a book on shadow people, a real in-depth book on the shadow people. I love that topic. And so that's what the next show is going to be on, and I hope you join me. And then on the 27th of July, I'll be airing a show with Vanessa Hogel. She's the remote viewer psychic that I do the shows with on unexplained disappearances and ghost pictures. The 27th, she'll be joining me with Julia Siracusa. They are on their way to Long Island, to it's where all these murders occurred and children that disappeared, and they oh God, I can't remember the guy's name. They convicted one of a fella of the murders, and his name doesn't come to me right now. But anyway, it's referred to as Cropsey, and it's going to be a good show. They're going to Vanessa's going to come back with evidence that she's captured all her remote viewing and her drawings on that show, and I'm really excited about that. And Julia Siracusa grew up with one of the little girls, Holly, that disappeared. And she said this Holly has been in contact with her. So this will be a really great show. So anyway, I'll see you back on July 6th, taking 2 weeks off. And I want to thank you all for joining me tonight. We had a lot of people in the chat room. Thanks so much. And my mods, I want to thank my mods so much. Royce Hinman and Unique Annie. I couldn't have two better mods. They keep this chat room really great for all you people who want to join in the chat, and that's why we have such a good chat room, because of them, and I want to thank them so much. So let me do some shout outs, okay? I know Jimmy Cortez was in the show tonight. There's Carl White. Hey, there's Carl White from the UK, and I can never get about 3:30, honey. I keep forgetting the time zone for you. He's from the UK and he watches my show every time I have a show. Thank you. Don't forget, you can sign up for show reminders on paranormalzone.tv, and oh gosh, it's what the hell, is it freezing? And there's a little tab that says show reminders, so you can do that, okay? And everybody, don't forget to give the show a like and subscribe if you're new to the show. So let's do some fast shout outs, okay? Cal 420, Pungy Fungi, Rufus Torres, Summer Sims, Kimmy Kraft, Carl White, Lully Tooby, Nancy Soplavita, Kyle, Kylie, a shout out please, yes, Nanny Tristan, Melch 22, Misty Dawn, Jay Alford, how you doing, Jay? Maria Sandra Amador, Julie Ann Hennessy, Don Peyote, Tammy Chavez, Zippy Davis, Caroline 222, Kimberly Ramirez, Cal, I did a show on Albert Fish, and I would really like to do another show on serial killers. And Albert Fish is horrific. He is one of the most horrible, horrific serial killers there is. And I am going to do a show on these, on serial killers. Dawn, Zoe Small, Super Tigress 75, Savannah Lamar, Lenora Martinez, anybody else? Janice Bolt. Anybody else want to shout out? Don't forget, please send your positive vibes to Royce Hinman, who needs your positive prayers, and also to Jimmy Cortez. And I don't know if River was in tonight. I haven't seen him. There's Tommy Roberts. Oh my God. Tommy Roberts, hi honey. I saw you last week as well, and thank you for joining us tonight. Oh, everybody, have a great weekend. And for those of you who are fathers, happy Father's Day. So with that, hugs to everybody, group hugs to my chat room, and Jay Grogan 02. Okay, so everybody, I'm going to go. Have a great weekend. My husband's waiting for me. You know what? We may try, doing the Zin Zin Whisper Wind. We may try to do that on the restoration. We'll see. We'll see with the group that's involved in the restoration. Okay. So again, have a great night. Happy Father's Day to those of you who are fathers. I love you guys, And I'll see you, don't forget, I'll see you on July 6th. Don't forget, you can also set yourself, Jimmy Cortez, hi honey. Though you can also set on the front Joshua Shari's. Good, Joshua, thank you. That would be awesome if we could get them on the show. Oh, Crystal, oh my God. Crystal, how are you, honey? I didn't know you were in here tonight. Thank you so much. She's one of my mods. How are you doing? She's been having some issues, and I hope everything is okay with you. It's nice to see you tonight. So I'm going to say goodnight to all of you. I love you guys. Group hug, and I'll see you on July 7th, okay? Love you guys. Good night.